Sean King standing by. Sean is the Senior Vice President for Park Strategies, and he is joining us now live from New York. Sean, we just heard Emily outlining the developing and growing economic relationship between China and Taiwan. But let's look at some of the other angles, more and particularly on the defense front. How is Taiwan doing when it comes to defending itself and its military?
Well, assuming it feels the need to defend itself, its defense is a little weak right now. Since it moved to an all-volunteer force a few years ago, it's only got 235,000 new recruits when it had set a goal of 270, and its defense spending is down to 2.13% of GDP, despite a target of 3%. Also, there have been about 8 or 9 high-profile espionage cases where high-ranking Taiwan officers have been caught spying for mainland China. So this is bad for troop morale and also makes Washington second-guess Taiwan as to whether any secrets it's sharing with Taiwan are being exchanged through a backdoor into the mainland. So Taiwan's military is not rolling over, but it's not at its strongest point right now.
So you don't think that they're sort of softening their stance on being a sovereign state and relaxing a little bit when it comes to vehemently stating that we are distinct, we're different from China? This doesn't sound like they're ready to defend themselves if they need to be.
Well, this Taiwan government does not say it's a sovereign state. This Taiwan government says it's the Republic of China, which in historical theory means they are a government that has been displaced from the mainland, waiting to go home or rule all of China one day. So this government specifically says it's not a sovereign state. It's just its version of China is a different one from the one in Beijing. The previous government, the DPP, and the people who hope to come back in one day, in their mind, they'd like to see Taiwan as a sovereign state, but this current government does not. But yes, I think Taiwan might be letting its guard down. I think this current KMT government thinks that so long as it makes nice with China on trade and investment and doesn't declare outright independence, that it has nothing to fear from a mainland attack. But that could change if and when the opposition comes to power, and or there's some kind of political upheaval in China that may cause it to react outward.
Yeah, Sean, this is Emily in Hong Kong now. Where does Taiwan stand in terms of arms sales with the United States? Definitely a very tricky one when they're balancing the new leadership, China, and the Sino-U.S. relations.
Well, it comes and goes. Every year, Taiwan asks for certain items. They get some. They don't get some. And this is a case where we're kind of sending mixed signals. We have research papers from the Defense Department saying Taiwan should be spending more than it is on its military, but then we don't always sell them what they request. So we can't have it both ways either. Either we want Taiwan to defend itself or we want to give them what they need. So we have a push and pull strategy with Taiwan, too, because we're trying to balance it in our relationship with Beijing, for better or for worse.
Yeah, so Sean, tell me, I mean, from your perspective, the President Obama's Asia pivot, how does Taiwan figure in that, or does it?
I don't think it really does. Taiwan's kind of a black hole in the Asia pivot. Our defense relationship is so unique with Taiwan that it would be there with or without the Asia pivot. But this Asia pivot, which is a reaction to China's growing strength in the region, a counterbalance to China, right now Taiwan's kind of out of sync as it gets closer with China, and at least on ideological, historical terms, finds itself on the same side of key issues like Japan's Senkaku Islands, which the United States takes the Japanese side on, in the same side as China. So in the case of Japan's Senkaku Islands, you have China and Taiwan softly on the same side against Japan and the U.S., and now you have also Taiwan in a dispute with the Philippines, another key U.S. ally, over the shooting death on a fishing boat. So Taiwan's right now, in some ways, has a closer defense relationship with the U.S. than any other country because we're the only one who sells it weapons, but at the same time it's kind of the odd man out because it's getting closer to China where every other country in the region is kind of pulling away from China and getting closer to the United States.
Yeah, Sean, you mentioned the Taiwan-Philippine dispute with the fishermen being killed. Now, the Taiwan response was much more business-like. Is that basically the right way forward or the right way to handle that situation?
Well, maybe business-like now, but it wasn't very business-like a month ago. I mean, there was a thirst for Filipino blood in the streets of Taipei 3 or 4 weeks ago. I think the best course of action is to wait for the outcome of both official investigations and then make judgments and then make statements. But I don't think anybody should prejudge what happened in that tragic incident until the investigations are complete.
Okay, Sean, useful talking to you, sir, as always. Thank you for your time. Sean King, Park Strategies there.